All right, my name is Matthew Brozick. I'm here to help you make smarter decisions with money. As a part of what I do, talk to attorneys and estate planning attorneys specifically all over the Midwest and more specifically Southern Minnesota. Today I have with me Kristin Gunsolus from Jones Law in Mankato, Minnesota. She's an estate planning attorney that I talk to and ask a lot of questions to her, and she gives me some pretty darn good answers, at least most of the time. And so, Kristin, we were talking offline about some of the misconceptions of estate planning and estate planning attorneys, et cetera. What are the top three misconceptions about estate planning?
Hi, Matt, and thanks for having me on. So, I would say the biggest misconception as to estate planning that people have is that it's only for rich people. So, I hear this a lot that I don't have enough money, or my estate's not big enough, or I have a small family, so I don't need to do estate planning. And that is absolutely incorrect. If you don't do your plan, then it's very likely that your estate might end up distributed in a way that doesn't match your wishes. So,
Mhm.
estate planning is certainly for everybody, no matter what your net worth is or what your family style or dynamic is.
Yeah, wouldn't you say too, kind of a checkbox is if you have someone that's reliant on you, whether it's for income or children, young children that are reliant on you, or even a grandparent or parent or something like that, wouldn't that be really a time to take estate planning more take it more seriously?
Absolutely. You should look at it as something you're doing for the people you're leaving behind, for yourself, but also for them. You setting up a solid, um, properly drafted estate plan is the best thing you can do for those that are going to administer your estate and those that you're leaving behind.
Hmm. What about the number two biggest misconception in estate planning?
So another thing that a lot of people misperceive about estate planning is that it's super complicated. So a lot of times people will delay doing their estate plan or just put it off because they think that it's just too complicated. It's too difficult. I don't understand. I don't know what's going on. And I would say that estate planning does not by any means need to be complicated. And the biggest thing is just finding someone to work with that is able to explain concepts to you and make sure that you fully understand your plan, and that'll work with you from beginning to end to put your plan in place. So it definitely does not need to be complicated, and it shouldn't scare you away from going through the process.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the things that I've noticed talking and working with a lot of different attorneys in the area is there are two different kinds. One that uses a lot of big words and confuses people. Another type of an attorney that uses down to earth terms so people can understand it, feel comfortable about it, and make some of those decisions, which I think one of the reasons you're on here is because I think you do a good job of that. The third thing, what's the third thing that is the biggest misconception?
Yeah, and that actually kind of leads into my third point is that you don't need an attorney to do an estate plan. You can just do it yourself. And that can be a huge mistake for some people. There are a lot of companies out there right now. You're probably familiar with like the Legal Zooms and the Trust and Will software. And personally, I've actually gone through it to know the questions that it asks to see what kind of estate plan it's producing for people. And in my particular instance, it would have ended up being a complete failure. I have minor kids, and going through the process, it ended up with me leaving assets to my children outright at their ages of minority, which certainly I wouldn't want. And so the problem with those softwares where you can do it yourself is these softwares aren't asking specific questions that are directed to your specific situation. You need a human being to talk to be able to ask these questions. So certainly there are programs out there that allow you to do it. And I'm not saying in every case, it never works, but for the vast majority of estate plans, you're going to be much better off, and your plan is going to be better drafted if it's done by an actual attorney that you're working with.
Yeah, I agree. I think in the increased automation of our world, walking through and just checking boxes on a sheet of paper on how you want to affect your kids, grandkids, wife, husband, nieces, nephews, whatever, it's much easier to have a conversation and just say, hey, what's important to you? Do you have churches, charities, other people that you want to make sure that you benefit? And I think having that conversation is much more enjoyable than people really think it is. They think it's probably pretty boring. But I think the biggest thing, like you had said, find an attorney that you know, like, and trust that explains things in the right way. And I think you did a great job explaining this today. So I really appreciate you coming on and helping us all out.
Thanks for having me.
All right, appreciate it. Kristin Gunsolus, I'm Matthew Brozick, helping you make smarter decisions with money. Stay tuned. We'll have a few more of these coming up throughout the next coming weeks. Thanks, everybody.